Right, so Keir Starmer's getting sued, folks. No, really is, or rather, what passes for the Labour Party he leads is, and the complainants are some of the very same people who were calling out alleged anti-Semitism under the leadership of Jeremy Corbyn, erstwhile allies of his, you would seem to think, but oh, how the worm has turned, eh, Keith? Now, those of you who use Twitter particularly, though also Facebook or other groups on other platforms, may have observed on there or indeed experienced as a result of supporting Corbyn accusations of anti-Semitism. You that might therefore be familiar with the group LAAS, Labour Against Anti-Semitism. This is a group who regard themselves as what they call experts at uncovering networks of hate and have exposed anti-Semitism everywhere, they brag. But that's their line, not mine, nor that of so many other people who might have experienced of being falsely accused of being something that they aren't. To this day, if you visit their main website, and I had the misfortune of doing just that this morning, the main image on there is an attack on Labour, with billboards parked outside of Parliament, no less, with one reading, "Institutional Anti-Semitism in Corbyn's Labour." So clearly, Corbs is still living rent-free in their heads, and despite 3 years having passed since he stepped down as Labour, he's still the object they're clinging on to for some semblance of relevance. It's also more than 3 years, therefore, since the now infamous Labour Leaks report came out, exposing the factional undermining of the Corbyn leadership from Party HQ, as well as the slew of hatred and bile aimed at left-wing figures from within, causing so much outcry as it did. So much outcry that Keir Starmer was forced to order an investigation into all of this. The Ford report, which did not deliver the blame for racism where he wanted it to be laid at, i.e. it was all those rotten lefties' fault. Ford found otherwise. Well, Starmer has also spent an absurd amount of money, Labour Party money, trying to take 5 people close to Corbyn from that time to court. Most recently, and most notably, an issue for Starmer and co has arisen relating to one of those defendants specifically, Corbyn's former Chief of Staff, Carrie Murphy. Now, what Labour have done here, ahead of the conclusion of the main case, which is already costing the party an absolute arm and a leg, is try to get an injunction to get privileged emails between Murphy and her lawyer released in an attempt to prove Labour's case that these 5 people were the ones who released that Labour Leaks report. Unfortunately for Labour, they've no idea who actually did leak this report. They've accused these 5 in desperate hopes that it can be pinned on a rotten lefty from Corbyn's time. But Starmer has had thousands and thousands of pounds of party money spent on forensic investigators already to try and identify the leaker or leakers, and that has failed. He is, as is also notably a investigation by the Information Commissioner's Office. Yet Starmer has wasted party funds over this issue yet again here because the judge has refused his request. To put things in perspective a little bit more here, despite being left with a party some £13 million in the black when Corbyn left and he became leader and took over, Starmer is heading into the next general election having paid off court cases against Labour whistleblowers from that Panorama programme you might remember, having wasted thousands on ridiculous multiple court actions such as this one, has driven members away in their droves, taking their activism with them and their cash, with that leaving Labour today some £15 million short of what they need to fight the next general election. The party, despite riding high in the polls, as it still is strapped for cash, and still Starmer is wasting more party cash in courts trying to score points on the left. What a petulant, tiny, pathetic figure he truly is, eh? Now, the bill from that failed application against Murphy particularly is, in and of itself, going to cost Labour another 6 figures, apparently. If they lose the full case against all 5, that's going to cost the party substantially more, and it looks pretty likely that's going to be the case, to my mind, because after all of that, the judge has ordered Labour now to replead the entire basis they think they have pursuing these 5 individuals. Starmer's Labour literally have no case, no evidence. They knew all this beforehand. You would think a lawyer like Starmer would know better, but no, he has to win. Winning seems to override common sense when it comes to Keith, but he's a loser, and he's going to lose this, and his shirt to boot. Anyway, back to Labour Against Anti-Semitism, because this is another legal fight Starmer has on his hands. And the reason for my aforementioned digression just there is that this all relates to the Labour Leaks report as well, in that the report allegedly named 9 members of LAAS as anti-Semitism complainants, outed them apparently, and they're taking Labour to court apparently for £4 million in damages as a result of that. Damages! Apparently boasting they're going to bankrupt Labour over it. They might find it a little bit tougher than Carrie Murphy and co are, because at least some of them have publicly bragged online about making anti-Semitism complaints to the Labour Party, therefore outing themselves not having been outed at all by the Labour leaks report particularly. It amused me no end to read this, that people from an organisation who, frankly, get their kicks out of publicly naming and shaming others they've deemed to be anti-Semites are suing Labour, accusing them of doing that to them. But nothing takes away from the fact they've just named themselves. Just as a for instance, LAAS chairman Ewan Phillips wrote in the Huffington Post in 2018 that they had reported more than 6,000 cases to Labour's compliance unit. Phillips and another, Denny Taylor, were profiled by the Times of Israel as being non-Jews fighting UK Labour anti-Semitism. Another individual, Emma Picken, not even her real name apparently, also not Jewish, has repeatedly said on Twitter that she's been reporting anti-Semitism to Labour. They've been named by others and they've named themselves, totally aside from the Labour leaks report doing so. Now, compared to the case against Carrie Murphy and her cohorts, this one seems substantially weaker. Not that Labour are even considering these people to be anti-Labour or rotten in any way, despite the legal action. And indeed, at least some of these individuals still want to be part of the Labour Party, despite everything they're claiming to report and the fact they're suing them. Another one, Julie Cattle, another one of these ones that's taking action against the party, has not only put herself forward to be a Labour councillor, but Team Keith have actually imposed her as their candidate. She's literally suing you, and you still put her forward and enforce her onto the candidacy. Can you smell another panorama-style whistleblower payoff in the offing? Because I'm getting a slight whiff of it. One of those whistleblowers, incidentally, also ended up as a Labour councillor up in Barnet. So why not someone else suing Starmer's Labour Party as well? She wouldn't be the first. Cattle was a councillor in Brighton before losing her seat there. So now she's being imposed as a candidate in neighbouring Hove instead. Imposed to stand for a party that she and others are apparently boasting about bankrupting. I mean, it really can only happen in Starmer's Labour, can't it? Thanks for watching. If you appreciated this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment and hit the notification bell too so you don't miss the next one. Also, look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on the Linktree link in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Cheers, folks.